Imagine this. You walk into a room and immediately feel eyes on you. You start second guessing. How do I look? Did I say the wrong thing? Are they judging me? And suddenly, you're no longer present. You're trapped in your own head, living for the approval of people who probably won't even remember you tomorrow. Now let me ask you, how much of your life have you wasted caring about what other people think? How many opportunities did you let slip because you were afraid of being judged? How many times did you shrink yourself just to fit into someone else's small idea of who you should be? Here's the truth. No matter what you do, someone will always have an opinion. You could be the kindest person and someone will still call you weak. You could be strong and assertive and someone will label you arrogant. You could stay quiet and they'll say you're cold. You could speak up and they'll say you're too much. Do you see the game? You can't win because the game was never yours to play. But here's where it gets powerful. The day you stop chasing approval is the day you start living. The day you stop letting the noise of other people dictate your choices is the day you take back your freedom. Because freedom doesn't come from money, status, or success. It comes from not giving away control of your life to someone else's opinion. And that's what we're going to talk about today. How to finally stop caring what people think of you. How to build a mind that cannot be controlled by the whispers, the gossip, the stares, or the judgment. Because once you master this, you will walk into every room with power. You will move through life with peace. And you will live, not for them, but for you. When you think about it, most of the stress, hesitation, and insecurity you feel around people doesn't come from who you are. It comes from what you think they're thinking about you. But why? Why do we hand over so much of our energy to opinions that are often fleeting, uninformed, and irrelevant? To break free, you first have to understand why you care so much in the first place. From the time we are children, we are conditioned to seek approval. Think about it. When you were little, every action you took was met with either praise or criticism. If you behaved well, someone clapped for you. If you messed up, someone frowned or scolded you. Slowly, your brain started making connections. Approval equals love, disapproval equals rejection. Without even realizing it, you were programmed to associate your worth with how others saw you. By the time you grew up, that wiring was already embedded deep inside. This is why so many adults struggle with people-pleasing. It's not that you don't know who you are. It's that you're carrying years of conditioning that taught you to measure your value by external responses. You've been trained to ask silently in your head, do they like me? Do they approve? Am I enough in their eyes? That question haunts more people than they would ever admit. Here's the reality. The need for validation is human. At our core, we are tribal beings. Thousands of years ago, being rejected by the group could mean death. You needed acceptance to survive. That instinct still lives inside you today. It's why being left out, criticized, or judged stings so much. Your brain interprets it as danger. Even though in today's world, someone's disapproval won't kill you. But your subconscious doesn't know that. It still reacts as if your survival is on the line. So now in your everyday life, you may find yourself bending over backwards to please others. Maybe you dress a certain way, not because you like it, but because you're afraid of being judged. Maybe you hold back your opinion in meetings, not because you don't have anything valuable to say, but because you're worried someone will think it's stupid. Maybe you don't chase a dream, not because you lack ability, but because you fear the whispers. Who does she think she is? What if he fails? You shrink yourself to fit into the approval box that society has built for you. But here's the trap. You can never win. Approval is a moving target. One day they clap for you, the next day they criticize you. You post something online, and half the people love it while the other half tear it apart. You get praised for being ambitious, then criticized for being too ambitious. The same people who cheer for you today may mock you tomorrow. So why play a game where the rules keep changing? The deeper reason you care is because somewhere inside, you haven't yet fully owned your own voice. When your sense of identity is shaky, you will look outside yourself for clues. You'll try to read the room, measure their reactions, and adjust yourself to fit in. And the more you do this, the less you actually know who you are. Because your identity becomes a collage of everyone else's opinions. This is why so many people feel lost, even when they look successful. They've built a life on applause, but not on authenticity. And when the applause fades, they don't know what's left. Have you ever noticed how some of the most confident people you've met don't seem to care at all about fitting in? It's not that they're arrogant, it's that they've made peace with who they are. They've decided my value is not up for debate. And that's where freedom begins. So here's the first step. You have to interrogate your own need for validation. Ask yourself hard questions. Why do I care so much about this person's opinion? What do I think their approval will give me? If they disapprove, what do I actually lose? And here's the truth you'll find most of the time, you lose nothing. Their words don't change your abilities. Their judgment doesn't pay your bills. Their approval doesn't make you smarter, kinder, or stronger. It only makes you feel temporarily accepted. And that's the trap. It's temporary. Think about the times you felt proud of yourself. Was it really because someone else praised you? Or was it because you knew you overcame something hard? You stayed true to yourself. You pushed through when it was easier to quit. That pride comes from within. It doesn't need an audience. And the more you anchor yourself in that internal validation, the less you'll care about the external. It's not about shutting people out or ignoring feedback. Feedback can be valuable when it's constructive. But there's a difference between learning from others and living for others. One makes you stronger. The other makes you a prisoner. Too many people live as prisoners of perception, locked in cages built by imaginary opinions. They don't even realize the key has been in their hands all along. When you start to understand why you care, when you see the psychology behind it, you begin to detach. You start catching yourself in the moment. You notice when you're editing yourself just to be liked, and you ask, is this really who I am? Or am I just trying to be what they want? That question will change everything. Because awareness is the first step to freedom. The truth is, the reason you care so much is not because you're weak. It's because you're human. But being human also means you have the power to rewire yourself, to break the old conditioning, to train your mind to no longer seek approval like oxygen. You can shift from living in fear of what people think to living in alignment with what you think, what you value, what you know is right for you. That shift is the beginning of confidence. That shift is the beginning of peace. And the day you truly grasp this, you'll walk differently. You'll enter rooms differently. You'll stop explaining yourself unnecessarily. You'll stop apologizing for existing. You'll stop waiting for permission to be yourself, because you'll know you don't need their nod, their clap, or their smile to be worthy. You already are. And once you understand that, you'll never let someone else's opinion chain you down again. Here's a reality most people don't want to face. No matter what you do, people will judge you. You could give your best. Show up with the purest intentions. Work harder than anyone else, and someone will still find a way to criticize you. That's the nature of people. Judgment is inevitable, and the sooner you accept that, the freer you'll become. Think about your own life. Maybe you've experienced moments where you accomplished something you were proud of, and instead of being celebrated, someone tried to minimize it. You finally got the promotion. And instead of congratulations, you heard Pierce like she only got it because she's lucky, or he must have had connections. You lost weight, improved your health, and suddenly someone had to say, oh, you're obsessed with yourself now. You started your own business. And instead of encouragement, someone smirked and muttered, let's see how long that lasts. The point is, whatever you do, people will always have something to say. Here's why. People see the world through their own insecurities, their own fears, their own limitations. When they look at you, they're not really seeing you. They're projecting themselves onto you. If someone feels threatened by success, they'll downplay yours. If someone is unhappy with their own choices, they'll criticize yours. If someone lacks the courage to pursue their dreams, they'll mock you for chasing yours. Most judgment is nothing more than a reflection of what's going on inside the person who's judging. But here's a trap. You think it's about you, you hear their words and internalize them as truth. You start questioning yourself. Maybe I am too much. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe they're right. And slowly you let their projections dictate your reality. You start living smaller, dimming your light, making yourself less threatening, just so you won't trigger their judgment. And in the process, you suffocate the very best parts of who you are. Let me tell you something. Even if you do nothing, people will still judge. Stay quiet and they'll say, you're weak. Speak up and they'll say you're arrogant. Take risks and they'll call you reckless. Play it safe and they'll call you boring. You can't win their game because it's designed for you to lose. If you try to live for their approval, you'll forever be chasing a finish line that doesn't exist. Have you ever noticed that some of the most criticized people are also the ones who dared to live differently? Innovators, leaders, artists, entrepreneurs, they all faced ridicule. At first, people doubted them, laughed at them, even hated them. But the moment their vision came to life, the same people suddenly respected them. Do you see the irony? The judgment was never about the truth. It was about discomfort. People feel uneasy when someone else breaks out of the mold because it forces them to look at their own life and ask hard questions. If you're going to do anything worthwhile, prepare to be judged. That's the price of authenticity. But here's the good news. Judgment loses its power when you stop giving it weight. Imagine if every time someone criticized you, you paused and thought, is this about me or is this about them? 90% of the time, it's about them. Their perspective comes from their upbringing, their pain, their failures, their fears. It's not a universal truth. It's just their opinion. And opinions are cheap. Everyone has them, but not everyone's opinion deserves a seat in your life. The danger isn't in people judging you. The danger is in you believing them. You can't stop their words, but you can stop them from controlling your direction. If you spend your life avoiding judgment, you'll avoid risk, avoid growth, avoid authenticity. You'll live inside a safe little box, never upsetting anyone, but also never fully becoming yourself. And here's the twist. Even in that box, they'll still judge you. They'll say you lacked ambition, you wasted your potential, you played it too safe. So if they'll talk anyway, why not give them something worth talking about? Think of it like this. Life is like walking through a marketplace. Everyone is yelling, selling their opinions, trying to get your attention. Some voices are loud, some are negative, some sound convincing. But at the end of the day, you decide what you buy. You don't have to purchase every opinion handed to you. You don't have to let their words become your reality. Just because someone speaks doesn't mean you have to listen. Here's another truth. Most of the people who judge you won't even remember their own words. A week later, they'll move on to the next thing, the next person, the next piece of gossip. Meanwhile, you'll still be carrying their words on your back like a weight. Isn't that insane? You're living under the burden of opinions that the people who gave them don't even care about anymore. That's the cost of giving judgment power. It lingers in your mind long after it's left theirs. The key is to build a filter. When someone criticizes you, pause and ask, is this coming from a place of love, wisdom, and truth? Or is it coming from bitterness, jealousy, or ignorance? If it's the former, maybe there's something to learn. If it's the latter, drop it. Let it roll off you like rain on a window. Don't let every opinion soak into your skin. Protect your peace. Understand this. People will always talk, but you decide what echoes in your head. And here's the empowering part. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your life. You don't have to justify your dreams, your choices, your pace, or your values. The moment you realize that judgment is unavoidable, you stop wasting energy trying to dodge it. Instead, you focus on living in alignment with your truth. So the question becomes, do you want to be judged for being who you really are, or do you want to be judged for being a watered-down version of yourself? Either way, the judgment is coming. You can't escape it, but you can choose the kind of judgment you'll face. If they're going to talk, let them talk while you keep moving forward. If they're going to criticize, let them criticize while you build, create, and live. Because at the end of your life, the voices of judgment won't matter. What will matter is whether you live true to yourself or whether you spent your years as a prisoner of other people's opinions. So let them judge. Let them whisper. Let them misunderstand you. That's their business. Your business is to keep going, keep growing, and keep becoming everything you were meant to be without apology. There comes a point when you have to draw a line in your life and decide who gets to define you. If you keep waiting for the world to tell you who you are, you'll always be at the mercy of shifting opinions. One moment they'll praise you and you'll feel like you're on top of the world. The next moment they'll criticize you and you'll feel worthless. That's a dangerous way to live, basing your entire sense of identity on the fragile approval of other people. The only way to break free from that cycle is to define your own standards. What does that mean? It means choosing to live by a code that you decide, a code that isn't swayed by trends, gossip, or shifting expectations. Most people drift through life without clarity on who they are. They dress the way others dress, think the way others think, and even choose careers, relationships, and lifestyles based on what looks acceptable. They're like leaves in the wind, tossed around by whatever society says is right. But here's the problem with that. You'll never feel grounded. You'll never feel truly at peace if your compass is someone else's. Imagine for a second that you are building a house. You wouldn't just grab random materials from your neighbors, throw them together, and hope it holds. You'd want a strong foundation, a clear design, and materials you trust. The same goes for your life. Your standards are the blueprint. Without them, you'll always be patching things together, wondering why everything feels shaky. Defining your standards begins with asking the question, what do I value? Not what your parents value, not what your friends value, not what social media tells you to value, but what matters to you at the deepest level. Maybe it's integrity. Maybe it's growth. Maybe it's freedom, loyalty, courage, discipline, or kindness. Whatever it is, those values become the anchors for how you live. Once you know them, you measure your actions against them, not against the applause or criticism of other people. For example, if integrity is one of your standards, you don't compromise your honesty just to be liked. If discipline is one of your standards, you don't let laziness slide just because no one is watching. If respect is one of your standards, you don't tolerate being disrespected just to avoid conflict. When you hold yourself to your own standards, you stop negotiating your identity. Every time someone else has an opinion, you become consistent, grounded, and unshakable. This is why some people can walk into any room with quiet confidence. It's not that they never feel nervous, it's that they've already decided who they are and what they stand for. They don't need the room to validate them, because their standards already do that. They can stand alone, because they're not trying to live by borrowed definitions. And ironically, those are the people others end up respecting the most. Not the ones who bend, but the ones who stay rooted. There's a powerful shift that happens when you define your standards. You stop chasing approval and start earning your own respect. Think about how often people betray themselves just to be accepted. They laugh at jokes they don't find funny. They go along with choices they don't agree with. They say yes when they desperately want to say no. Every time you do that, a little part of you feels resentful, weak, or disappointed in yourself. And the more you do it, the less you trust yourself. But when you hold to your standards, even when it's uncomfortable, you start building a deep trust with yourself. And that trust is the foundation of confidence. Another thing defining your standards does is protect you from manipulation. If you don't have clear standards, anyone can sway you. People can guilt you, shame you, flatter you, or pressure you into being who they want you to be. But when your standards are clear, you have a filter. Someone tries to drag you into gossip. You say no because your standard is integrity. Someone tries to disrespect your time. You set boundaries because your standard is self-respect. Someone tries to tempt you into compromising your values. You refuse because your standard is discipline. With standards, you stop reacting blindly and start responding with intention. But here's the catch. Defining your standards takes courage. Because the moment you choose your code, you'll start noticing how much of your life doesn't align with it. Maybe you'll realize some relationships don't respect your values. Maybe you'll see that your job doesn't honor your purpose. Maybe you'll notice habits that contradict what you say you believe in. That awareness can be uncomfortable, but it's also liberating. It means you finally have the clarity to start building a life that's truly yours. The world will always try to hand you a script. It will tell you what success should look like, how you should behave, how much you should earn, when you should marry, what kind of body you should have, even what kind of happiness you should pursue. And if you don't define your own standards, you'll end up living by theirs, forever chasing, forever comparing, forever feeling like you're falling short. But the moment you set your own standards, you step out of that rat race. You stop competing with people who were never even supposed to be your competition. You start running your own race, on your own track, by your own rules. Here's the beauty of living this way. It doesn't mean you ignore everyone else. It just means you filter everything through your values. You can still listen, learn, and adapt, but you don't lose yourself in the process. You know where you stand, and because of that, even when life throws storms at you, you don't get knocked down as easily. You bend, but you don't break. You adjust, but you don't collapse, because your foundation is built on something unshakable. Your own code. At the end of the day, it's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent with who you've decided to be. It's about being able to look in the mirror and say, I like the person I see. I respect the person I am becoming. That feeling is worth more than any round of applause you'll ever get, because applause fades, but self-respect stays. So if you want to stop caring what people think, stop giving them the power to define you. Decide your standards, live by them relentlessly, and let the world adjust to you instead of the other way around. You don't need to be everyone's favorite. You don't need to fit into every mold. You just need to be true to your own. And once you commit to that, you'll walk through life with a kind of peace and confidence that no judgment, no gossip, and no criticism can take away. If you want to stop caring what people think of you, you have to build something inside yourself that cannot be easily shaken. That something is resilience, mental and emotional strength. Because no matter how much clarity you gain, no matter how well you define your own standards, life will keep testing you. People will still criticize. They'll still misunderstand you. They'll still throw negativity your way. You can't control that. What you can control is how you respond. And the strength of your response depends on the resilience you've built within yourself. Think about a tree in a storm. A weak tree with shallow roots gets ripped out of the ground, but a strong tree with deep roots bends with the wind, absorbs the impact, and still stands tall when the storm passes. Life is going to bring storms. Words, opinions, and judgments are winds trying to knock you over. If you don't have resilience, every comment, every rejection, every glance will feel like a personal attack. But when you build mental and emotional strength, you learn to bend without breaking. The first part of resilience is control over your own emotions. Too many people give away that control to whoever pushes their buttons. Someone makes a sarcastic comment and they're instantly angry. Someone ignores them and they spiral into self-doubt. Someone disagrees with them and they feel attacked. Do you see what's happening here? They've put their inner peace in the hands of everyone around them. That's a dangerous way to live, because it means anyone, friend, stranger, or even a troll online can hijack your state of mind in a second. Resilience means taking that power back. It's the ability to pause, breathe, and choose how you respond instead of reacting on autopilot. It's the skill of separating your emotions from someone else's behavior. When someone criticizes you, you don't immediately internalize it. You step back and ask, is this useful? Does this help me grow? Or is this just noise? That moment of pause is everything. It's what gives you the ability to move through life without constantly being at the mercy of others. Another key part of resilience is perspective. Most people let small things eat away at them because they magnify them out of proportion. Someone didn't return your call. Suddenly you feel rejected. Someone frowned at you, suddenly you think they hate you. But resilient people don't let small moments dictate their entire mood. They zoom out. They remind themselves, one person's opinion does not define me. One bad day does not ruin me. One rejection does not end me. Perspective shrinks the weight of negativity so it doesn't crush you. Building resilience also means learning how to turn pain into fuel. Everyone gets criticized, everyone gets doubted, everyone gets told they're not enough, but the resilient ones don't let it stop them. They use it, they channel it into growth, into drive, into proving themselves not to others but to themselves. They take what was meant to break them and turn it into strength. Think about athletes who train harder after being told they can't make it. Think about creators who put out their best work after being rejected. The criticism becomes the very fire that pushes them forward. That's resilience. But resilience isn't built in one day. It's built in the small daily choices you make. Every time you face discomfort instead of avoiding it, you're training resilience. Every time you control your reaction instead of exploding, you're building resilience. Every time you stand firm in your truth while others doubt you, you're reinforcing resilience. It's like lifting weights. Every rep makes you stronger, even if you don't see the results right away. Over time, you realize things that used to shake you no longer have power over you. One of the most powerful aspects of emotional resilience is the ability to detach. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring about people or about life. It means you stop attaching your worth to outcomes you can't control. If someone loves you or leaves you, praises you or criticizes you, you remain steady. You appreciate the good. You learn from the bad, but you don't let either define your value. Detachment creates freedom. It allows you to walk into situations without fear, because you know that whatever happens, you'll be okay. Here's the truth, you will never fully stop hearing opinions, but resilience makes you stop needing them. You stop craving the compliment. You stop fearing the insult. You stop chasing the approval. You realize that your value doesn't rise or fall with the tide of people's reactions. You start living with an inner stability that no one can take from you. That's what resilience gives you, an anchor in a world full of storms. Now, let's be real, building resilience isn't always easy. It means sitting with discomfort instead of running from it. It means facing criticism head on without letting it destroy you. It means not letting your emotions control you, even when you feel like exploding. It means being willing to walk away from people, places, and situations that drain you. Even if it hurts, it's not a soft skill, it's a tough discipline. But the payoff is priceless. Because once you build resilience, you become untouchable in a way that intimidates people. Not because you're cold or arrogant, but because you're unshakable. When someone throws shade, you don't collapse. When they misunderstand you, you don't chase them for clarity. When they reject you, you don't beg for acceptance. You stand tall, rooted, and firm. People notice that. And ironically, the very strength that makes you stop needing approval is what earns the deepest respect. At the end of the day, resilience is not about never feeling hurt. It's about not staying hurt. It's about bouncing back, regaining your balance, and refusing to let negativity live rent-free in your mind. It's about knowing that the only person who truly controls your peace is you. And when you fully embrace that, you stop being a puppet to people's opinions. You stop living in reaction mode and start living in creation mode, creating the life you want, regardless of who claps or who criticizes. That's the power of resilience. It's the armor that lets you walk through judgment without being pierced. It's the strength that lets you rise every time life tries to knock you down. And it's the foundation that makes you unstoppable, not because the world changes, but because you do. Most people live their lives in a small circle, not because they lack talent, not because they lack opportunities, but because they choose comfort over courage. Comfort feels safe. Comfort feels familiar. Comfort tells you don't make waves, don't risk embarrassment, don't take that leap. And so you stay in your lane, you play small, you avoid criticism, and you convince yourself that it's enough. But deep down, you know it's not. Deep down, you feel the pull for something bigger. The problem is that bigger life can't exist in your comfort zone. It only comes when you choose courage. Courage is what separates those who live authentically from those who live trapped by other people's opinions. Every time you care too much about what people think, you're choosing comfort. You're choosing the comfort of silence over the courage of speaking your truth. You're choosing the comfort of fitting in over the courage of standing out. You're choosing the comfort of staying invisible over the courage of being seen. And what does that comfort give you? Maybe a temporary sense of safety, but it also gives you regret because you know you weren't true to yourself. Think about the moments in history or even in your own life where someone made an impact. It was never the comfortable choice. Leaders, innovators, artists, truth tellers, they were all criticized before they were celebrated. They were doubted, mocked, even hated. but they pushed forward anyway because they chose courage. They understood that the cost of staying comfortable was too high. It meant betraying their purpose. Courage doesn't mean you stop feeling fear. It means you act in spite of it. It means you step forward even with shaking hands and a racing heart. It means you stop waiting for the perfect moment and move anyway. People often wait for fear to disappear before they act, but that day never comes. Fear is always there. Courage is the decision to not let fear be the driver. Here's the irony. When you choose courage, people will still judge you. They'll talk, they'll criticize, they'll question you. But here's the difference. At least you'll be judged for living true, not for hiding. People will whisper, no matter what. So why not give them something real to whisper about? Why not choose to live a life that's yours, instead of one designed to keep everyone else comfortable? Comfort is seductive, but it's also dangerous. Comfort whispers, stay here, don't risk it, don't change. But comfort is the slow death of your potential. Every time you avoid discomfort, you're teaching yourself to settle. You're telling yourself that safety is more important than growth. And over time, that choice shrinks you until one day you wake up and realize you've built a life that doesn't even feel like yours. Courage, on the other hand, expands you. Every act of courage, no matter how small, builds a new layer of strength. The first time you speak up when you're afraid, you build courage. The first time you walk away from someone who disrespects you, you build courage. The first time you choose your path, even when people don't understand, you build courage. It compounds, and with each act, you stop needing other people's approval because you've proven to yourself that you can survive without it. One of the most powerful shifts happens when you realize that courage earns you something. Comfort never will. Self-respect. You can lie to others about why you stayed quiet, why you didn't try, why you played it safe, but you can't lie to yourself. You know when you've chosen fear over courage, and every time you do, you lose a little trust in yourself. But when you choose courage, even if you fail, you gain self-respect. You can look in the mirror and say, at least I tried, at least I didn't let fear run me. That pride runs deeper than any approval from the outside world. The truth is, comfort never leads to greatness. Nobody remembers the person who never took risks, never made mistakes, never stood out. But people always remember those who had the courage to be bold, even when the world wasn't ready for them. And the most important person who remembers is you. You'll remember whether you lived fully or hid behind comfort. Ask yourself right now, what areas of my life am I playing small because I'm afraid of judgment? Or am I choosing comfort instead of courage? Maybe it's in your career. You stay in a job you hate because it's safe instead of pursuing something meaningful. Maybe it's in your relationships. You stay quiet when you need to speak because you're afraid of conflict. Maybe it's in your dreams. You talk yourself out of trying because you're afraid of failure. Whatever it is, understand this. Comfort may feel good in the moment, but it robs you of the future you deserve. When you choose courage, you're going to feel resistance. People may not understand. They may criticize you, question you, or even walk away from you. But here's the beauty. You'll still stand, and with every courageous step, you'll realize you didn't need their approval to begin with. You'll realize the power you were searching for outside was inside you all along. And here's the best part. Courage is contagious. When you choose courage, you give silent permission for others to do the same. You become an example, a spark. People see you standing tall, living free, and they start asking themselves why they've been hiding. Your courage might just be the thing that inspires someone else to break free from their own comfort zone. At the end of your life, comfort will mean nothing. The cozy choices, the times you stayed quiet, the moments you played it safe, they won't matter. What will matter are the moments you were brave, the times you stood up for yourself, the times you chased a dream, the times you spoke the truth, the times you lived boldly, even when fear tried to cage you. That's the life you'll be proud of. So here's the choice in front of you. Stay comfortable and remain trapped in the opinions of others. Or choose courage and set yourself free. Courage may not be easy, but it is the only path to authenticity, fulfillment, and peace. People will always have something to say, But when you live with courage, their voices fade. What remains is your voice, your truth, your life lived on your terms, without apology. At the end of the day, life is too short to hand the steering wheel over to other people's opinions. You came into this world with a purpose, and that purpose cannot be fulfilled if you're constantly bending, shrinking, and molding yourself to fit into boxes others have built for you. You are not here to please everyone. You are here to live fully, boldly, and unapologetically. People will always talk, they will always judge, but their voices are just noise. The only voice that truly matters is the one inside you, the one that knows what you stand for, the one that knows what you're capable of, the one that refuses to settle. That voice is your compass, and if you have the courage to follow it, you'll never lose your way. So stop asking, what do they think? And start asking, what do I think? What do I want? Who do I want to become? Because the truth is, the world doesn't need another copy of someone else. The world needs the real you, the version that's not diluted by fear, not silenced by judgment, and not caged by comfort. When you stop caring about what people think, you don't become reckless, you become free, free to pursue what matters, free to stand up for yourself, free to create, to dream, to love, to lead, free to walk into every room knowing you don't need validation because you already carry it within you. This is the life you deserve. A life where you own your truth, define your standards, build your resilience, and choose courage over comfort. So take back your power, stand tall, be bold, live free, and remember this. Those who judge you don't define you, but the courage to be yourself will define your entire life.